So in this lesson, we're going to talk about physical preparation with regard to preparing yourself for the rigors of the route you have in mind, but also like establishing your fitness benchmark so that you can actually choose a route that is going to be appropriate for you at your current condition. We're also going to talk about the myth of hiking into shape and how to do it appropriately, as well as sport specificity and preparation. So as a former personal trainer, I've worked with a lot of hikers over the years, helping them prepare for their hikes and for their thru hikes. And the first step is establishing your basic fitness benchmarks. And for most people who are looking to do a longer backpacking trip or a thru hike, you already are a hiker or backpacker. But if you're not, you can establish this benchmark by doing this test on flat terrain. If you're doing it on flat terrain, find a bike trail or a rail trail that's relatively flat. If you're already a backpacker or experienced hiker, you can go to wherever you normally hike, whether that's hilly or whatever, and you will need to hike for a full day. So usually I say about a 4-hour, 6-hour hike without a break, and figure out how far you can comfortably hike over that period of time. And you'll want to repeat this with a backpack later on in your training if you're not already a backpacker. If you are already a backpacker, you can carry your pack. And basically what this does is this establishes your basic benchmark of backpacking fitness. And this is going to help you as you move further into your planning process to understand how far you can actually comfortably plan to hike and travel in one day with your backpack on over the type of terrain that you're looking to hike. And that will help you establish things like your caloric intake. It'll also help you establish the capacity of your backpack, because you'll know how much food and water you're going to need to carry, because you'll know how long this is going to take you. And it'll also help you determine an overall schedule and time frame for the amount of distance you intend to travel.
Hiking into shape is something that a lot of hikers will think is the right way to do it. Like, hey, just get out there, start your hike, and by in no time flat, you'll be in shape. A lot of people will get injured in that period of time, and I've been on the receiving end of an injury like this when I didn't prepare well enough in some of my early hikes in advance because I didn't really have the knowledge to understand what it really took to do a long distance thru hike. So really there's no substitute for actually getting out on a trail with weight on your back and actually hiking day in and day out. Like, that is going to be your best way of preparing for a hike is throwing weight on your back and working your way up to heavier weights over time prior to your hike. If you just throw a 50-pound pack on your back and you go hike up Amicalola Falls to the start of the Appalachian Trail at Springer Mountain, your knees, your quads, your calves are all gonna be screaming at you by the top, I promise. So if you wanna actually enjoy the first few weeks of your hike more so than you would if you didn't prepare properly, don't go off this mentality that you're gonna hike yourself into shape for the first month on trail. You're just a recipe for injury and disaster.
No matter what your weight of your pack is, whether it's 50 pounds or whether it's 20 pounds, when you put a backpack on, this is dead weight to your body. So it's like instantaneously gaining that much fat on your body. And so if your joints, especially your knees, your ankles, your hips, are not accustomed to carrying that much weight, they're going to suffer significantly. And you can, to some extent, hike into shape. There's no doubt that you cannot invest enough time to training to prepare your body for that. But what you can do is prepare your body to absorb that shock and to adjust to that shock. A lot of the aches and the pains and the overuse injuries happen pretty early on in a hike because your body is trying to adapt and you're not allowing it that time to adapt. So injury proofing your body beforehand by conditioning your joints especially will really help you in the long run to adapt quicker when you do get out onto the trail.
We discussed the financial reasons for being the number one reason people get off trail. Injuries are the second most common reason people get off trail. So between planning properly financially and preparing yourself physically beforehand properly, this is going to put you light years ahead of the majority of the other people that are getting out on trail in terms of being successful.